implementation-wise, all government policy are fair. But when it comes to implementation, there is very poor monitoring in this country. And two, there is always this perception that the public service is dominated by one single ethnic group. And there's this gap of communication that would aggravate any form of grievances. And this is perceived that one ethnic group cannot treat another ethnic group well. And that this is because of the system that is wrong. And that is the perception. That's why we always emphasize that the frontliner in the government office should be more multiracial. This will reduce a lot of suspicion and miscommunication. Of course, there are certain policy which from the very beginning is also regarded as unfair to some people. The quota system, the preferential treatment for scholarship, license, and this is part of the what we call affirmative action. Najib has demonstrated that he's quite open and that he's willing to even, I would say, forgo his power for the sake of a more, I would say, participatory democracy. So the Rakyat must have confidence that this is a man who reach out to all community. This is a man who all his friends describe as too kind. So they must give him a chance that the engine of transformation have just started. And if you change the government or the government of the day is not strong, you derail the whole transformation program of the country. And the transformation program of this country is important. It is not a BN's agenda. It is definitely not a Najib's agenda. It is a national agenda because it is only through this transformation program that Malaysia can get out of this middle income trap. Otherwise, we are all stuck. And this is where Pakatan Rakyat have never been able to tell us how to do it. I think that's because the ability of our Prime Minister to project himself that he is above party politics and that he is a statesman that is not involved in this party squabble. And his long political career seems to show that. So in a way he's wise, in a way he's lucky, and in a way he has managed to package himself well. The act together is that we have continued political stability. That's very important. And a lot of internal squabbling among politicians and political parties do not send a good message to overseas investors. And that is the first message. Two, we are still very confident that despite the external factor, despite the strong economic headwind against Malaysia, and because of the massive development that is undergoing in Malaysia, we still can sustain 4.5, which is very good. And Financial Times has described it as gravity-defying growth. And that's not easy coming from Financial Times. So all in all, I'm still very positive that we have registered respectable growth and produce jobs. Basically, the AP would find wrong with everything that the government has done, belittle what every little thing that MCA has done, and project themselves that if the Chinese can group together and support DAP, we can become the kingmaker. And MCA, by being part of the government, which is perceived not to be responsive to the Chinese community, is construed as a stumbling block to this vision of DAP making the Chinese the kingmaker. That is what's called hate politics that we have to deal with, and which is very dangerous. When political party in this country, which is multiracial, practices hate politics, that runs along racial line, then I think there's room for concern. And that's why all our mega dinner theme is stability above chaos. We want to drum home the point to all Malaysians, not just to the Chinese, that whatever political differences that we have, we all must not sacrifice racial, religious harmony in this country. No government is perfect, more so in a multiracial country. The government have to strike a very delicate balance between Malay, Chinese, Indian, and all the other races. And this country cannot belong to any one race. It is not true. It belongs to everybody. So if the Chinese are angry with the government for certain perceived discrimination, injustice, they do not destroy the whole government to correct this injustice until and unless they are very sure that they vote the incoming government that can do a better job. And because of 308, the Chinese have the opportunity to access and to quantify the performance of the 4 Pakatan Rakyat. And I would say it is a real disappointment, and we must say thank God they won, giving the Chinese opportunity to access them in the last 4.5 years. The perception they have created that they will be more fair to Chinese is wrong.